Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, Drifters, and welcome to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
I'm Chris.
And today we thought we would just take a look back at 2023 and talk about some of our favorite things that we watched, whether movies or series or whatever. So if you have something towards the after you've watched this show that you watched that you think we missed, let us know in the comments section, and we'll have to check it out and report on it in a future episode. But anyway, let's jump right into it, and let's jump to eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
You,
Chris.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm all over the place in terms of things that I watch, but I watched a lot of thriller, mystery type shows this year. We don't have to go into a lot of them, but I'll cover some titles, so to speak, some of them that were out there. So Dark Desire is one on Netflix, which ended up being a pretty good murder mystery, as well as Who Killed Sarah was another one with some good twists and turns. You never really know who committed what murder, and you always think, somebody's a friend, and then turns out they're the bad guy or what have you. There's a lot of shows that I watch around that instance, but interestingly enough, I did go through the entire Stranger Things series again with Gina, because she hadn't finished it at all the first time. And so in going through that was actually pretty cool, and I had a better appreciation for, I think, what was accomplished with Stranger Things, and looking forward to them kind of getting ready to wrap that up. So we did a marathon and went through all of Stranger Things again, and now Gina's refreshed, as am I, on everything that kind of happened, and I have more questions, I think, than I did before going through Stranger Things, particularly as you get to the what's been left undone or unsaid and stuff like that. So that was pretty good. I actually didn't make it to the theater a whole lot this year, which is rare for me. And I thought that would kind of flip, given, we're all kind of back out and about again. But I didn't. I just didn't flat out make it to the theater a lot. So I went through a lot of the new streaming shows that are out there, or tried to get caught up on ones that were had been released over the last 2 or 3 years that I simply just didn't get to. So that's been pretty good, I think. And I'm trying to think of probably one of the most interesting things that I watched this year. I did find a new anime that I'm a huge fan of now, which I was very late getting into, which was called Demon Slayer. And Demon Slayer is probably my top 2 or 3 now animes. It's a newer one. They're still making new episodes, new seasons, and actually some of the seasons are born out of films that they make. So they'll actually do a theatrical release, a mini story of the anime, and then they break it out in episodes and release a new season on Netflix. So Demon Slayer is a growing one that's been pretty great. Also, recently, Gina and I have been starting to watch the Alien series again, starting with Prometheus and kind of working our way through those series of films. So yeah, so that's Demon Slayer there. And actually, Bill, one of the main character there, Tanjiro, is actually who I borrowed the name from in part of the short story. So that's Tanjiro, and his sister on the right there is the one that gets turned into a demon in the series. And Tanjiro's kind of in the plot in this, Tanjiro joins this organization who slays demons and stuff, but he's looking for a way to turn his sister back to normal.
Okay.
Cool. But that's kind of the cast and all these different characters that you meet in the series. But that's where I borrowed a little bit of Tanjiro, who's a warlock that I play in one of Bill's D&D sessions. So But yeah, so I started. Gina and I started going through Alien again because I think in 2024 there's another Alien movie coming out.
Oh, God.
So when that happens, we got to go back and start refreshing ourselves on what's going on there. So, but this one's supposed to take place, I guess, between the first and second film, whatever this new one's supposed to be coming out. And then I also realized I completely missed the second prequel to the Alien series called Alien Covenant. I hadn't watched that one yet. It comes after Prometheus, and so we watched that last night as well. But yeah, other than that, I didn't have anything new. Your Indiana Jones that came out. Any new films that hit the big screen like Oppenheimer? I didn't watch that. Surprisingly though, I found time to work in Barbie, so I did watch the Barbie.
Oh my God, we watched that last night.
It was funnier than I thought it was going to be, but it was still just it was different.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I had a lot of good shows, but mine were primarily not a lot of sci-fi related ones. Mine were mostly thrillers and murder mysteries that I dug into. And that's where I spent a lot of time this year.
All right. All right. Let's jump to Seth.
So, like, as far as movies that came out this year, I think at the absolute top of my pick is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like, that was an amazing follow-up to the first already really, really good movie. And yeah, we just got an expanded view of that world. The artwork was once again amazing. A lot was teased, and of course, there's a part 3 coming. Aside from that, though, like kind of like Chris, my watching is eclectic. I spent some time watching animes again this year, and like a few things definitely popped out of that. I did start Demon Slayer as well, Chris. I've only got the first few episodes, but that first episode gets you good.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I'm going to enjoy this show, and I knew it from the first episode because it was well-paced. The art's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The music's there. And, like, kind of in the anime vein, something one of my favorite things that I've done this year is something very old, actually. It feels bad to say very old, but me and a couple of my friends, Jenna, we started watching Rurouni Kenshin again.
Mm-hmm.
The
Classic.
old anime.
Yep.
Yeah, they recently came out with they started re-releasing Kenshin, and it was several of our favorite series, and they were coming out with a new redone show, and so I was like, okay, let's check that out. And I watched a couple episodes, and then I decided to pop in my DVDs of the old series, and I was just like, no, this classic one's better. Like, it's got the music, the hand-drawn animation, the original's just dripping with charm and heart, and like the new one's prettier, but they removed so much of what made the original great, and so like getting to experience that again has almost been like a hug. I like it.
All right.
They've also started redoing Trigun, by the way.
Oh, I've seen some of that. I need to see how that is, if it holds up to the original.
And avoid the live-action Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to talk about, and I've probably mentioned on this podcast, I know I've mentioned it to you guys, but is Dimension 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been watching a lot of Dimension 20 as I paint minis. Last night, or 2 days ago, I've polished off their, I believe, second or third big season. There are many more seasons now. but they did a season called A Crown of Candy. That was their Song of Ice and Fire kind of season.
Hmm.
You're looking like that, Linda, but I know you liked I think you liked
Critical.
House of Ice and Fire, right?
Oh,
Critical
the
Role.
show, yeah.
Yeah, like they hit, like it was dramatic, and there were betrayals, and like the players were doubting each other, and everyone was
hilarious.
like looking for that political intrigue angle or personal. It was great. Like they are fantastic actors. The season.
I like Critical Role. I like to watch them. So.
Oh, you'll like if you like Critical Role, you'll like Dimension 20. Like,
Cool.
because the casts go back and forth too. Like you'll see Matt Mercer on in Dimension 20, and Brennan and Abria Iyengar will play in DM on Critical Role.
That makes sense.
It's kind of the same crowd, and like pick your poison. Critical Role or Dimension 20. They're both.
I like the looks on
amazing.
their face here. It's like,
So I was just talking about The Crown of Candy, and that one that you just brought up, The Ravening War, is the prequel to that, run by Matt Mercer, in which I believe Matt makes Brennan tragically kill a character who was canonically dead in his first season. Oh, you're like, he uses Brennan's own lore to hurt him.
oh my god.
And
Funny.
like the season I'm watching with I'm watching a couple different seasons right now.
Mhm.
One of them is called A Court of Fey and Flowers, which is a Regency drama comedy. It's wonderful. I love it. I can't say a bad thing about it. And the other one is called Burrow's End. Katie and I just watched an episode last night, and we just figured out that it was the Secret of Nim themed season.
Wow, that's got to be weird.
No, it's so cool.
So it looks like there's 21 seasons. Holy smokes!
Yeah, and almost every one of them is in a different setting with the different stories and characters.
Mhm.
I just like it's like anime. Like they take you somewhere different every season, and it's fantastic.
Wow.
The episode or the season, The Unsleeping City, where there's a magical underside to New York. I've seen it twice now, and I'm going to watch it 5 more times.
That's pretty cool.
All right, let's check that out.
I like season 2, Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Season 2 of Dungeons and Drag Queens they came out with Dungeons and Drag Queens this year, where they had the entire cast of players be I think famous drag queens,
Mhm.
and it was because they were all real new to D&D, so it's a fantastic like how do you get started in D&D kind of thing.
Oh, funny.
All right, cool.
And Brennan dresses in full drag, and it's amazing.
Love it.
Now, Seth, are these all on YouTube then?
You can find a lot of Dimension 20 on YouTube, but it does air on the Dropout streaming service.
Okay.
But it's $5 a month.
Oh,
Do
that's
it.
right. College
Do it.
or whatever. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think for me, obviously Indiana Jones, I liked quite a bit. Oppenheimer was very good. We also watched kind of an interesting movie, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which is different about a doctor that learns of a guy that was blind but learned to see just using yoga, but not with his eyes. And so he
sounds so bizarre.
It is very bizarre. So this guy decides he wants to master this technique, and the guy tells him, well, it's going to take you most of the rest of your life to master it. But he finally does. And so, yeah, it's got Benedict Cumberbatch in the lead role. And
Ben
definitely,
Kingsley's in it too.
yeah, definitely worth checking out. And then one and kind of an interesting horror one that we watched was No One Will Save You. And that movie, there's only 5 words of dialogue in the whole movie, and the rest of it's just all suspense and horror about a woman that's kind of an outcast in her community. She lives alone, and you'll find out why during the show. But she's the victim of a home invasion, but it's a home invasion by aliens. So it's very, very creepy and kind of has you on the edge of your seat the whole show. So that one's really good. One that was really different that we watched was El Conde. El
Oh,
Conde. And that was about in this movie, Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet is a 250-year-old vampire. And he's now tired of his life, and he wants to die at last after the disgrace and family crisis he caused. And so it's really weird. He lives at this point in his life, he lives out on this remote Chilean plateau in this desolate farm. There you see it on the left, on the right side of the picture there. And he wears, whenever he wants to go out and feast as a vampire, he puts on his general's uniform with his big cape, and then he just flies over places and lands and feeds on people. But underneath that farmhouse, there's a vast underground warehouse filled with all these refrigerated storage lockers with the hearts of people that he killed when he was the Chilean dictator. And he's put these hearts because what he does is he'll go get a heart, put it into a blender, you thaw it out, put it into a blender, mix it up into a viscous cocktail and pureed cocktail and drink the heart. And the whole he's doing that, and his butler who works for him is also a vampire, and they talk about the different hearts and how the hearts of royal people are so much sweeter than they are of the peasants, and they've got it's like imagine like a wine cellar where you have all these different vintages and different and that's kind of what this is underground in this vast warehouse that he's got all these hearts in.
I guess it must be pretty good because I can't keep a piece of hamburger from getting freezer burnt after a few months.
Right.
200 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, he's had several hundred years to master his freezing techniques.
To master refrigeration?
Yes. Right. Let's see. What else was there? Last Voyage of the Demeter was very good. I highly recommended that. Yeah, and I think I already mentioned Oppenheimer, which was also very good. And The House of Usher, great series. And of course, I couldn't not mention Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. This season. Yeah, so just getting so good. And
Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. Lower Decks is fantastic.
Yeah. And, Strange New Worlds had that musical episode. And did you see that, Chris?
I don't think I did.
Okay. You'd remember it probably if you did. The musical where they're, it's just like...
I think I stopped just before I got to that one.
Okay. In hearing about that, because it was kind of talked about in advance of the season coming out, and I'm thinking... Oh, for Christ's sake. Seriously, a musical version of Star Trek, an episode.
Come on, have some whimsy, Bill.
I hate
whimsy.
I hate whimsy. Linda can tell you. So anyway.
You are the most whimsical motherfucker on the planet, Bill.
What are you talking about?
You are like made of whimsy.
Whimsy.
Well, anyway, so I wasn't really looking forward to it. I wasn't expecting it to be good. And they kind of knocked my socks off with it. It was really good, especially, if you've been watching since the start of season 1 and been following these characters' arcs, the music and the words and everything. They knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. And so that was probably my favorite episode, I think, of the whole second season. But they had, as usual with Strange New Worlds, it's like every episode is kind of a different genre, a different feel to it, horror,
Mhm.
and comedy and stuff like that. So it's really a good show, and heartily recommend it. If you like science fiction, check it out.
Yeah, the episodic nature of that is like really classic Trek for me, and I like it. It also means that you don't have to worry so much about keeping things in sync from week to week, because
Right.
it really would be weird to be like, hey, do you guys remember that time that we sang for a whole week?
Right.
Weird,
Right.
right?
And watching the Klingons do K-pop was just hilarious. That was killer. But anyway, so there was that. Our trip to the Argo for the D&D campaign that we did in the haunted Argo Hotel. That was pretty awesome. And in fact, we're still playing that campaign. And as Chris will tell you.
Yeah, damn doll. And also, like, I feel bad because I missed the last session where apparently I almost died.
Yes.
Again, to be clear, I've already died once.
Right.
So it wouldn't have been anything new. But
Right.
yeah, we had a really great time at the Argo, and that session's still going, and we're going to try and finish it out. And so, we'll have to regroup, I think, on when we play next. But
yeah,
that was. I was kind of looking forward to the next battle, and then just wasn't able to make it. So
right. Yeah, we'll definitely get you caught up on it. I think you'll laugh at some of the developments and some of the dolls' taunts, because two of the characters got to hear the taunts that they refused to venture into the pool area to hear last time, and that also allowed me to ramp up their taunts a little bit and have Katie re-record.
What the listeners need to know is that Bill has been emotionally abusing our players, or at least their characters.
Yep.
And he's having far too much fun with it.
Way too much fun.
I should say I'm not a player. I'm one of the GMs. So
yeah.
I am complicit in his crimes.
Fair enough.
Oh, and Chris, what you missed was an actual appearance of physical appearance in this room here of the evil doll.
That's right.
Oh man. I guess I'm glad I wasn't there.
Oh, you'll see it again. It's
Neat.
yeah, you'll like it. It was good.
Bill's going overboard. Don't expect any of this stuff from me.
Of course not. Of course not.
So yeah, Linda, how about you? What, you got anything that I missed?
Sorry, I've had no time to prepare.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you watch most of the same things I do.
Right. Yeah, because you won't let me watch anything else.
Well, I'll let you make suggestions. You suggested Barbie last night, and we watched that.
Well, it was time to just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. I had to see it because I've heard such mixed things about it. It wasn't that bad.
Yep.
Right.
It's true. It wasn't that bad.
It had a little message to tell, and I thought that was good.
Had a cute message, yeah.
Mhm.
And at the end, Barbie got her first meeting with her gynecologist. So
that was so. I did not talk about a weird ending, right?
yeah.
I was like, what?
Well, I mean, she never had a vagina before until she became human. So
Yeah.
She has to talk to somebody about it.
yes,
You'd have to.
you'd
was
want to get
weird.
that thing checked.
Hey, doctor, there's something different about me.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh God. But yeah, so I think it was a good year for movies and such. Interestingly, we were talking about the fact that we didn't make it to many movies at the theater, which is true. I think we saw Indiana Jones at the theater, and we saw Oppenheimer at the theater. But I think those were the only two really we went to the theater this year to see. But on that topic, the Washington Post had an opinion piece where a guy published his opinion on going to the theater, and he said, he does a lot of movie reviews, and he said he's used to going to the theater, but he said it's getting to be such a chore anymore to do that because the movies are getting so much longer, And he said, not only the movies are longer, but you get there and now you have to sit through so many commercials before the movie.
Mhm.
Then you sit through trailers for other movies, a lot of times that are movies that are so beyond what you're there seeing now that it's like, how do they make the cross reference to say that this audience would in any way be interested in the other one?
Yeah.
But he said, and then not only that, then you got to sit through these different vignettes where it's like the theater ownership is sitting there in the theater talking about how
Yeah.
great it is to have people back. And it's like,
I hate those.
I know. It's like
Yeah.
what the
It's
F?
like
And he's-
it's like a 20-30 minute production before you even get to the film from
yes,
whatever the start time is, and the movie's already longer.
yeah.
If
He
you're the
said
type
this,
of person that stays to the end of the credits, that's another 15 minutes.
yeah, he said this one he was going to see was a Martin Scorsese film, and it was 3 hours and 26 minutes for the film. And he said the intro between all the commercials and the vignettes and the bullshit, that added another 30 minutes to
Yep.
it. And he said the theaters had wanted to or had tried to put an intermission in the middle of it, and Scorsese refused to allow it. And he said if they did it, he would not let the theaters show the film. And so he's like, okay, Martin, then you tell me what low point of the film is okay for me to leave and go take a piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And he said it's just getting to the point where it's like, fuck, I'll just wait till it comes out and watch it from home because
Yeah.
I don't want to see all the freaking commercials. I don't want to see the stupid vignettes. And I don't care to see trailers that I'm not interested in. It's not a movie that I would ever want to see anyway.
Yeah.
So
And like
It's
also,
start time, but realistically show up at 7:50 to
Yeah.
actually start the film.
movies are expensive and
yeah, that was his
have
other
less
point.
money.
Yeah,
And
that was his other point. $10 for a bucket of popcorn or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He
I
said,
think we saw Asteroid City. I think we saw that at the theater.
oh, that
City.
might be. Yeah.
And
And that,
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Oh,
We
yeah,
saw
Dungeons
that.
and
Yeah.
Dragons.
Honorable
Yeah,
mention for
good
that
one
one.
too. I
But I
like
think
it.
that was
That
it.
was good.
yeah, that was really good. Asteroid City was not quite what I was expecting. It was kind of funny, but it was also just really kind of, bizarre.
So, talking year in review though, we like if you're follow the D&D scene at all, this has been an interesting
Oh,
year
yeah.
for D&D as
Mhm.
Wizards of the Coast. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure how many times Wizards of the Coast has taken their gun, Hasbro and Wizards of the Shelf have taken their gun off the shelf this year and
Yeah.
shot themselves
themselves.
directly in the dick.
Yeah. Right. Right.
They've had at least 3 or 4 different things this year where
Yeah.
they've just had unforced errors with the OGL crisis and then something else mid-year that I'd have to look up to remember the details, and then they
Yeah.
just fired 1,100 people for Christmas, basically. Merry Christmas, you don't have a job.
Right. And
Well,
thanks
if
for all
you
your
fire
hard
1,100
work on.
Wizards of the Coast people, who's probably Hasbro's actually only profitable arm right now,
Yeah.
and those are the ones that they fired.
Yeah.
Losing a ton of community goodwill again after the OGL crisis.
Yeah.
Good
Mhm.
grief.
I saw a quote from somebody that said laying off staff towards the end of the year is the uninspired CEO's way of turning a profit
Mhm.
for their company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes down to money.
Yeah.
You close the books to the end of the year. How do we flip this number to green?
Right.
Uh-huh.
And hey, maybe they're gonna, if they want to keep expanding D&D, they're gonna need those people back or
Right.
people to replace them. Is it really saving them money when they just are gonna have to retrain a whole bunch of new people, have basically set up a new group of people who are just gonna make a new system to compete with them? And
Seth, that's
Well,
next
unless they
year's
bring them
subject.
back,
We
I
don't-
think sometimes
care.
they
Well, I
overshoot
guess
and they'd rather bring in who they need at a minimum back in. So they'd rather fire 1,100 and then rehire 200 or 300 if they can get away with it,
Yeah.
as opposed to just chopping until they get down to being slim enough. They'd rather hire back if they can bring back that same talent. Because out of those 1,100, there's going to be some people that would rather just go back and work for them that love their job, but sour as they may be,
But
paycheck
that's-
to paycheck.
those people might just go and work on one of the other many systems that sprouted up around the time that the OGL crisis got kicked off. When they
can afford them, yeah.
Well, they're doing better business now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they lost market share during that.
Yeah.
And they're gonna keep losing market share if they keep doing these things. Like, D&D doesn't have to be the lead RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And people are realizing that.
Do you guys have a subscription account on D&D Beyond?
I do.
Okay.
I do because I need to share my content with players.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Have you tried any of the one D&D playtesting stuff yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I really don't know if, like, 5th edition is a really good edition. Like, in Wizard's defense, 5th edition is fun to play, easy to pick up.
Yeah.
It is a great version of D&D. Will 1 D&D be better than that, or will it be another 4th edition? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Jury's out on that for sure yet. So, but it's supposed to be, isn't it supposed to be coming out first part of this year, 2024?
Real soon. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What I'm way more excited about is trying some of the new third-party content that I learned about this year.
Right.
I'm getting some third-party stuff from D&D Shorts. He's got a YouTube channel and produces third-party content that's actually really kind of cool. Some new he does new subclasses for the classes, custom subclasses, custom enemies, custom magic items, that sort of thing. And some of them are really fun. Like, I want to make a version of my rock and roll wizard who's a reverberation mage from this class.
No, interesting.
That sounds really fun. There's like Hit Point Press. They released a couple extremely huge content packages for D&D 5th edition. Large campaigns, new classes, new subclasses, new worlds to play in. Like, 5th edition has a ton of legs left to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if switching at the height of its popularity is going to be good.
Right. Agreed. All right. Well, cool. Thank you guys for weighing in on your favorites this season. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you guys watching have some shows that you really like that came out in 2023, movies or series that we missed, let us know and we'll check them out and talk about them in a future episode. Other than that, any final notes or thoughts, guys?
No, it was a great busy year, and next year it's going to have even more cool stuff to get released. So, looking forward to 2024.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.